Hello, hello, everybody. It's me, Shannon LaBruyere. I am live and loving it tonight. And welcome to Sunday Night Live. Welcome to resilience. Welcome to purpose. Welcome to hope and inspiration. Welcome to tools and techniques. And oh my goodness, there is a wealth of information and help here on Sunday Night Live, and it's for you. And I'm delighted to be able to share it with you. Tonight, we are talking about how do we know when it's time to change? How do we even know? Sometimes we automatically, by default, resist change. And I'm here to tell you that isn't always the way to go. Resisting change hardly ever works. I'd say never, but I suppose sometimes it does, but it's usually not the healthiest way to go. So that's why we're going to talk about tonight, how do we know when it's time for us to make a change? And we're going to discuss 4 things tonight, and then next Sunday Night Live, we'll discuss 4 more, but we're going to talk about 4 signs that you need to make a change. So that'll be fun. Say hi. If you're new to Sunday Night Live, absolutely jump on and introduce yourself in the comments. Let us know who you are. Let us know that you're here. Welcome. Tammy's here. Hi, Tammy. I'm so glad. It's good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. And tonight's hashtag, our Thrive principle that we're going to explore is hashtag, let me find it here so you can see it, respect the now. Hashtag respect the now. The Thrive principle that we're going to explore is looking at respect the now from a little bit of a different angle. Sometimes we just have to look at the situations we're in and we say, you know what, I just have to acknowledge this is the real deal. This is where I'm at. And that's a part of what we're going to talk about tonight. But the other part of respect the now that we're going to discuss is how looking at now and allowing ourselves to really experience now helps us to understand better what we need to do next. And respecting it and being present in it, very, very powerful. Not just acknowledging it is what it is, but allowing us to really experience all the emotions that go along with that. Powerful. We're going to explore that tonight. So thank you. Thank you for jumping on. Thanks. Oh, hi, Mary. I'm glad you're here and welcome. Hello. Before we get too far in, you guys, the best coffee ever is Thumb Roast Coffee. And you can experience it for 15% off if you order it online at thumbroastcoffee.com. I look forward to my coffee experience every morning. It is part of what brings me joy. Sitting down with a delicious cup of Blue Lake and smelling it and feeling the warm cup in my hands and kind of snuggling up with an Afghan if it's a little chilly. Or maybe sitting out on the deck and admiring the view, nature. Coffee is a really important part of me enjoying my life. If you are like that, if coffee is a part of you enjoying your life, don't miss an opportunity to try Thumb Roast Coffee no matter where you live. 15% off. All you have to do is use the coupon code THRIVE, THRIVE, when you check out, and you'll get 15% off. And you are not going to be disappointed. I promise. All right. With that, hello, and let's get started. So, excuse me. How do we know that it's time to make a change? 4 signs that we're going to talk about tonight. They require me to take a little quiet time and be with ourselves for just a few minutes, just a few minutes, sitting with ourselves, allowing ourselves to settle, taking that deep breath, asking God to help us, to give us clarity. So what we're going to talk about is you stepping away from the hustle and bustle of the day-to-day and giving yourself permission to spend some time quietly, alone, and putting yourself in a position, a mood to listen to what your heart says, to listen to what your brain tells you, and to listen to what God tells you. So that's step one. Spend some time, or be intentional about spending some time. Plan it. Say, you know what? I need to just take a look at my life and set some time aside. Once you've done that, I want you to look for some of these signs. Hi, Laura. I'm glad you're here. Sign number one that we can look for to know it's time to make a change. You're living in the past, or you're living in the someday future. Sign number one that it's time for you to make a change is you're living in the past, or you're living in the future that's not concrete. It's someday. It's a dream. It's ambiguous. It's murky. I realized that I had to make a change when I started going into my 9-to-5 job and pining for the good old days. There's a difference between experiencing nostalgia about, man, you remember when that was great, wasn't that great? And spending every day wishing we were back in the good old days, or talking constantly about the good old days, or telling ourselves that we could be happy if only it was like it used to be. This is why we're exploring Respect the Now, because when we are living in the past, we're trying to convince our present person that things aren't as bad as they really are. And your present person can't even stand to be present in the now and tolerate it. It's time for a change. If you can't enjoy today, where you're at, one-offs, that's a different story, you guys. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you can't have a bad day, but if every day you find you're living in the past, the good old days, remember when, it's time to look at making some kind of a change. You get to decide what kind of a change that is, but that's the beauty of the Thrive in Change outlook. I can thrive in change. I can decide to do something different. But one of the signs that you need to is if you're always living in the past, or if you're always living in the future. Someday I'm not going to have to deal with all of this. Someday I'm not going to have to cry on my way into work. Someday I'm not going to have to hide in my bedroom. Someday, fill in the blank. Someday somebody's going to come and they're going to help me. Someday I'll be rescued. Someday and living in someday and living in the past are your first signs, or I shouldn't say the first, but they're one big sign that you need to make a change. If you look at your today every day and think you'd much rather be living back there or living in the future, it's time for a change. All right. The second sign that you need to make a change is you live in fear. You live in fear. Did that just strike something in your heart when I said that? Are you living in fear? Fear of taking a risk? I'm too scared to try anything. Fear of making a change? What if I make a change and nothing works out? What if I make a change and it's worse? Fear. Fear is a sign that we actually need to make a change. How about this one? You live in fear of what people will think. If your life is dominated by a fear of what somebody else is going to think about what you decide to do or what you say or what path you take, if you live in fear of what that other person or those other people will think, it's time to make a change. We cannot be our full God-given self. We can't be who God created us to be when we are constricted and living in fear. We can't be happy when we're living in fear. Fear of what somebody thinks is a sign that you need to make a change. And this one, probably even more urgent. Living in fear of what somebody will do. If that is where you find yourself now, that you are afraid to do something, to make a change, to do something different, if you are living in fear of what somebody else is going to do to you, it is time to make a change. You were not designed to live with threats hanging over your head. Threats that somebody will beat you, threats that somebody will leave you, threats that somebody will fire you. If you are living in fear every day, it is time to make a change. Ooh, Tammy's already fessed up to one. I've been saying someday for years. Yeah, Tammy. So I'd love to know, what are you doing about that? Is someday shifting for you? How is someday shifting to today? But we can talk more about that when we get to the action steps. But something to think about, Tammy. Yeah, someday I will. Someday I'm gonna live my dream. Someday isn't guaranteed, is it? We know this is true. We know it's true. All right, you guys. So we're talking about signs that you need to make a change. One sign is you're living in the past, or like Tammy says, you're saying someday, all the time, someday. No concrete plans, no steps in place, just someday it'll be different. Or you live in fear, fear of taking a risk, fear of making even the smallest change, fear of what people will think, or fear of what somebody will do. Perhaps it's fear of failure. If you are in a place where you live in fear every day, it is time for a change. It is time for a change. I have worked with people who lived in fear every day that if they made one small mistake at their job, that they would get fired. Every day, fear. The change they chose to embrace was to call in a reinforcement. They hired me. I'm not saying you have to hire a coach if you're living in fear every day, but what I am saying is this: you may need a reinforcement. You may need to bring in, come here, neutral party, come here, friend, come here, counselor. I need somebody with me because I'm afraid, and I need to have some support. I need to have some strength. You don't have to live in fear, and if you are, it is time to make a change, and you can ask for help to make it, to know what change to make. All right. The third way, the third sign that you need to make a change is you're becoming a person that you don't like. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how many times I have caught myself when I've been in a place where I needed to make a change. I have caught myself yelling, screaming at people as I'm driving, acting out in anger, being short-tempered with the people I care about because I've been stuck and frustrated, and my way of dealing with it is to act out and be angry. I hear myself when I'm in those situations. Again, I'll use my work as an example. I found myself in my work becoming a person I didn't like. I was becoming a person who didn't listen. I value listening. I value listening. Those of you in live stream leadership know that I value listening. Listening to me is one of the most important. It is one of my core values that I want to be a listener. And I found myself violating one of my core values because I was frustrated with people and I didn't see my way forward to be able to do anything about their circumstances, their work scenarios, their boss. And it was my job to help. And I was frustrated. My hands were tied. And I was becoming a person I didn't like. I didn't want to hear what people were saying because I did not trust that the culture that I was in was going to allow them to change and do it in a meaningful way. The culture that I was working in at the time did not encourage people to engage in their work. It encouraged them to check out. This violated one of my core values. When you feel yourself becoming a person you don't like, a lot of times, if you take a look, it's because you're compromising your core values. You're compromising something that you know is important to you, and it's making you angry, it's making you frustrated, it's making you sad. And you start acting out in ways that aren't true to who you really are. When you see yourself becoming a person you don't like, it is time to make a change. Anybody hearing me so far? Tammy, thank you for sharing about your I'm going to do it someday, right? I'm going to do it someday outlook. What about you, Mary? What about you, Laura? What about you, silent listener, silent viewer? Where are you ignoring the signs that it is time for you to change? Are you living in the past or always thinking you'll make a change someday? Are you living in fear of risk or change or people? Are you becoming a person that you don't like? And the fourth one we're going to talk about tonight is you feel numb. You just aren't feeling anything at all. You get up in the morning, you go about your business, and you don't feel a thing. You're over being frustrated. You're over being fearful. You're just numb. I want you to know, if you feel numb right now, you are listening to this for a reason. You are listening to this for a reason. And you do not have to be numb to life. It is time to make a change. And you can make one. So where do you start? Where do you start? You've been in denial long enough, right? It's like, I've been thinking I could get past all this, but it's been 2.5 years. Sometimes it's been 2.5 weeks. I need to make a change. When you recognize the signs that it's time to make a change, where do you start? And here is a great place to start. Take yourself off into a private place, a place where you can be alone. You can be in a safe place. Commune with nature. Sit in your chair with your delicious cup of coffee. Whatever that looks like for you, but give yourself permission to get into a safe place and ask yourself, what do I want to do next? What do I want to do next? And I want to encourage you not to think too far into that, not what is my plan for the next 40 years? No, ask yourself one question when you are in the midst of a situation and you realize it is time to make a change. You deserve to be intentional about what that change is. You don't have to be angry and go in and quit your job. Although if you do that, I can help you. I'll help you work through that. I'll help you find a new one. Truly, just know that you can give yourself permission to consider one step. And you don't have to know all the ones that come after. One step. Give yourself permission to look for one thing that I can do next. So Mary says this, in the past few months, I've gone through some of these fears. I had to stop and remind myself not to accept these fears because God had healed me from them. I cannot pick them up again. Wow, Mary, congratulations for recognizing that fear was coming on you and choosing to set it aside. That takes courage, it takes wisdom, it takes discernment, and it shows that you are becoming more resilient in how you deal with change, and you're becoming more proactive about change. So that's amazing. Well done. Yeah, not picking up those old fears, right? Looking back at that past and going, oh, no, I do not want any of those fears. A great step in healing and becoming resilient, bouncing back, getting stronger. So well done. Good job, Mary. Laura says, joining Livestream Leadership on Saturday mornings has helped me immensely in finding direction for life decisions. Laura, thank you for bringing that up. I agree 100%. Livestream Leadership, for those of you who aren't familiar, meets 3 Saturday mornings a month, Eastern Time. You can come in your robe and drink coffee. It starts at 8 a.m., so it's before most people are up on a Saturday morning. But we do, as a group, discuss powerful ways to get clarity about where to go next. And like I talked about when we were talking about that living in fear and finding somebody safe and linking arms with them, something like a mastermind group, a growth program like Livestream Leadership is a great place for that to happen, a great place for that to happen. And if anybody listening or viewing is interested in that, just let me know. I can fill you in if you've got questions on it. But it is a powerful, powerful method of being able to make the changes once you realize you need to make change. So thank you, Laura, for bringing that up. And some of you may have found other resources. Where have you found strength with other people? Share where you go when you need somebody to support you, when you know it's finally time for a change, when you're ready, you've recognized the signs. I am sick of living in fear. I am sick of feeling numb. It almost is, that almost can't happen, can it? Sometimes people, and you may be in this boat, that you're so numb, you aren't even sick of being numb. You just observe it. If you observe yourself feeling numb, if you observe yourself that you're not feeling at all, it's time to make a change. And something like a growth group, a mastermind group where you meet regularly with people that you've got a trusting relationship with and have great conversations talking about principles that help you grow, a great way to do that. Absolutely, counseling is a great option when it's things from our past that are just weighing us down so much that we can't move forward. That is valid. That happens. And if it's happening to you, you can reach out and get counseling. Talk to your primary care physician. Look on Google and see what your options are available. If you have insurance, you can contact your insurance company. But if you have items from your past that are weighing you down so much that you actually can't change, counseling is a great resource. All right, so Tammy, I am appreciating your authenticity today. You nailed it. I've scored all 5 out of 5. I've been in denial about my marriage for years, but I have been moving forward. Livestream leadership, coaching, church, all has helped me move forward and keep me moving forward and growing. Yeah, we do not have to be stuck living in fear, living in the past, or telling ourselves someday we can be happy, becoming a person that we don't like and don't respect, compromising our core values, or experiencing every day by not experiencing anything at all, just being a zombie going through it. And this is the beautiful thing. When you sit down with yourself and say, okay, what is my next step? Understand this, that just considering changing can feel overwhelming. And I want you to be prepared for that. Just looking at what possible options are can be overwhelming. Be prepared for that and know that just because you are giving yourself permission to look at options doesn't mean that you are going to take all of them. It does not mean that you're obligated to even choose one. All it means is you are taking the first step into leaning into getting out of the status quo and making the change that is going to allow you to thrive. And you're doing it intentionally because you know what you need. You need a change. So if you've been wondering, I wonder if it's time for me to quit that job. I'm wondering if it's time for me to make an adjustment to this relationship. I'm wondering if it's time for me to grow or explore another career path or connect with some new friends. Are you living in your past, remembering the friendships you had back in high school and how valuable they were, but you haven't had them in years? Do you find yourself going back there or telling yourself someday I'll have the time to make a friend? Now's the time. You're living in fear of changing. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what they'll do. I don't know what people will think. That's a sign. Time to make a change. You're becoming a person you don't like. It's time. It's time to consider making a change. Or you feel numb. You don't feel anything at all. It's time to make a change. What are you willing to do next? What are you willing to do next? Is it making a phone call? It could be as simple as that. Making the phone call to the doctor, saying, you know what? I've ignored this lump long enough. I think it's time for me to just find out. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend. I need some moral support. Help me with this. Maybe it's just being honest with yourself that you are living your life according to somebody else's plan and it's not working. I don't know what that looks like for you, but I know this, that if you've got any of those four qualities in your life, it's time to start looking at making a change, because you can thrive in your life and you can thrive in change, especially when you're the one who is orchestrating it, when you've initiated it, when you're being intentional about it. It's a beautiful thing. So as we wrap up, you guys, any places where you go to get your mojo back, where you go to get support, where you go to get guidance on how to make change in your life, when you realize, oh my gosh, it's time to do something, where do you turn? What resources have helped you? Drop them in the comments so that we can all explore those and we can share. We can share with each other. One of the books that is great that we've talked about before on Sunday Night Live is the book Who Moved My Cheese. It's a great book for dealing with change when it's time to make one. Just allowing yourself to have conversations with other people who've made changes. If their life is similar to yours, people who have been stuck in their job, what did they do? People who have left their job, what process did they follow? Who's one person that you could reach out to that could help you start making a positive change in your life? You can do it. With that, you guys, take care. I love you very much. I want what's best for you, and I trust that you know what's best for you. You can make a change. If you need any help from me, if you have questions, reach out. Send me a Facebook message. Drop me a note in the comments. I want to hear from you. I am here to help any way I can. This group is here to help you any way we can. This is a great resource. And for those of you who are curious about how you could start building a relationship with safe people who are growth-minded, the Livestream Leadership Program is a perfect solution for you. Laura is recommending it. Tammy's recommending it. You've heard Carol recommend it. People's lives are changed because they have linked their arms with people who believe the same things but think different thoughts. And in that context, there is no limit to how far we can go, how far we can grow, or how beautifully we can orchestrate the change in our lives. So with that, you guys, I love you. Take care. Goodbye.